Hello. Good afternoon. Happy Pride Month. It's Sade coming to you. I'm trying to get this together. Let me see some. I gotta get my life together. Hey y'all. While y'all are getting in here, I just wanted to let y'all know today is about smoke. Okay. Today is about smoke. Well, what does that mean? Let's get this smoke going. So a lot of times when I come and do lives, um, I may have some controversial things to say, right? And so I do like to read like the comments that people make, but I know I don't always get to go in depth with what people say. So I wanted to use today for those of you who are kind and considerate enough to come and check your girl out. Any questions, comments, challenges, let's do that today because I know a lot of times I have topics that I want to address or that I want to talk about, but I also want to talk about what y'all want to talk about. Like that's important to me. It's important to me that I'm addressing things that y'all want to hear, not just hearing myself speak. So today is about smoke. What do y'all have to talk about? Anything that you want to challenge me on that I've said, any questions you've had, concerns, let me know. What we talking about today? I'm all about that today. Let's do that. We've talked about relationships and parenting and all of that good stuff, individuality, wellness. We've talked about a lot of those kinds of things. So I wanted to put it out there to you guys if there was anything you were interested in talking about today. Now, do I have a topic per se? Yes. And if y'all want me to go along with that, that's cool too. I'll do that also. I just wanted to give y'all an opportunity to ask me questions about maybe something that's not on topic today because the topic is you, right? What is the smoke? The smizoke. I'm all about the smizoke. Okay. Because listen, I want to say this. A lot of times, I watch a lot of YouTube and it's nothing but somebody turning on the camera and having an opinion about something, right? That's no different than what I'm doing here. I think the thing that makes what I say a little different is my experience and my education, especially as it relates to like relationships and things like that and the therapeutic world of things. But righteously so, it's still my perspective and my opinion. And so I do like to learn more, hear more, be challenged more, just to kind of expand my perspective and my mind about things, which is why I love this whole idea. I love the idea of being able to talk to people in free form about things because life is just moving so fast. It gives us an opportunity to slow down and listen and take in and experience other people when we may not otherwise have done that. So I do appreciate this opportunity to do that. And I appreciate y'all tuning into me. Oh, that's a good question. Hey, okay, hi. All right, I'm going to talk about this. Let's do it. Going into business with friends, how it changes the dynamic of your relationship. So I'm going to say this. That's a really great question. I want to be clear about something as we get into this. So this is the question. Y'all should be able to see it at the bottom of the screen. When you talk about business and relationships, specifically friendships or intimate relationships, those are two very different things. Okay? In business, there are decisions that have to be made, conversations that have to be had that are not about being pleasant or not about being pleasant or pleasing. You have to be able to make the hard decisions and set hard boundaries. Now, depending on how your relationship is set up, that may or may not function well. Now, are there some friendships where being in business together has worked for them? 100%. Would I recommend it? Not at all. I wouldn't. There is something that happens in business that I think, and I'll speak for being in business by myself. Like my husband supports me and all of that great stuff, but I know me. I want to be able to make decisions on the way I want to make decisions. The way, and it's interesting because you have to take personalities in mind. My husband and I are going to open businesses together, but that will lend to what we want to do together. When you talk about leadership skills, when you talk about personality types, when you talk about communication styles, all of those things, and listen, financial illiteracy and all of that influences the business relationship, right? Let's say there's a decision that needs to be made, but y'all disagree. Do you compromise well? Are you both in a space where you can make reasonable decisions, right? And trust each other on not only making those decisions, but following through with their roles in the business. If you have questions or concerns about any of those things, you may want to rethink that experience. Is it easier to go into a business with someone else because that's 50% of the capital, that's 50% of the responsibility, right? But that can also be 100% of the headache, right? I've worked with folks where they are freaking miserable starting out with someone who they thought, oh, this is my friend. We get along so well. They have a great knack for business. They're focused. They're, ingenuitive. They're innovative. All of these things. And that could be true. But it could also work in the reverse when they are working with someone else. Folks work better individually than they do in a team. And that's what you will have to consider, is it will be a team. It's not an individual choice or experience. It's a team. So when the team fails, both of you fail. When the team members aren't doing their job, both of you are in trouble, not just one person, right? How can you work together as a team when, and I'm going to step it back a bit. When you say we're going to be in business together, that means you are becoming accountable for this person's work ethic. What they do moving forward impacts you. If this is how you take care of your families, right? And you're investing your hard-earned coins into something, you're trusting this person with that responsibility. If you have that with them, go for it. If you have that with them, go for it. But I will tell you this too. It also depends on how you work. I like to use myself as an example. I work a lot. Last year was the first year that I took a vacation since owning my business. I work a lot. I have this business. I have a consulting piece of my business that I consult with other businesses, and I'm actually supervising another business. I do consulting with I do crisis management consulting. Listen, I work a lot. I had to create boundaries around weekends because I was coming home in the evenings, working till 10, 11 o'clock. I was waking up first thing in the morning, getting here early. I still get here at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning when I don't start seeing clients until 9. I leave here, sometimes, hopefully, I just changed my schedule to leave here at 5. I was leaving here at 10 o'clock at night. What is your work ethic? And are they going to work as hard as you? Because I'm going to tell you what, as much as we will say, I'm okay if they're not going to work as how I work, as long as they get the work done, I'm telling you, if you even believe that you are investing more, that's going to be a problem. If you believe you're investing more of your time, energy, and effort, that's going to be a problem. Businesses don't run on their own. When you talk about employees, I have employees, I have staff, I have people that I'm responsible for. If I don't do it, or if I do, my name's on it. Right? If I have a partner, their name's on it. So whatever they do is a reflection on me, and vice versa. So when you say, how we can change the dynamics of the friendship. Shit, y'all could not be friends at all. Y'all could end up not being friends at all. Just because who someone is as a person, you may like them as a friend, but that does not necessarily mean they will function well as a business partner. That does not mean that at all. I would be clear about what you're expecting, what your roles are, what your needs are in this relationship, and be able to have some candid conversations around those topics to include accountability, compromise, making decisions, negotiating. Y'all have to be able to do that or it will not work. Every day you have to make decisions about something. Every day, even down to something we would consider maybe as minor as letting someone leave early, task that needs to be adjusted or completed, someone, a customer having a complaint, asking a question, billing that needs to be resolved, marketing, etc., 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 etc. Right? Now, the other part to that is when you're in my case, a one woman show, you're a one woman show. You take responsibility for all of it. And I'm not going to front. It is a lot. It is a lot. It is exhausting. It's frustrating. It's just a lot. Even as much as you love it or you want to nurture it and take care of it, it's still a lot. So just keep that in mind. If you say, I'm going to take this on my own, you're going to be on your own. Your your spouse is possibly going to be a suitor, like a supporter, right? But it's still your business and you're responsible for nurturing it, which can be a lot of work. And it doesn't happen overnight, y'all. When I tell you, when I started I'm going to give you a good example. When I first started, I was working out of my house, okay? Trying to build my consulting business, okay? Because my husband and I were going to open another business and that fell through. Everything didn't work out with that. So I was like, okay, what else can I do? Oh, okay. I want a private practice. I want to do something. I want to like prove that I could do this thing. I never saw myself owning a business. My husband really put a battery in my back and was like, babe, you could do this. Okay, cool. I was working out of my house. I hired an intern. We was running it. We was meeting at the library. Y'all didn't even have a meeting space. She was coming to my house. We were meeting at the library. We were knuckling it. Okay. There was a lot of times where, my husband had to come and like I did auditing services for a business. He came with me to do the audit because it was so large, right? It was so large. But again, he respected that was my business. He was there to support me when I asked. Okay. But it was still mine. I was making the decisions. Okay, cool. When I got into this office space, I had just started to pick up clients and I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to need something a little more. I want to hire some therapists. Let me get an office space. But I couldn't afford, first of all, y'all, I didn't get paid for like 6 months. I'm working, I'm billing. I didn't get paid for like 6 months. So all the overhead from the tools that I needed for my business were coming out of my paycheck from my full-time job that I was still working. I would have to be at work at 6:00 in the morning. I get off at 4:30. I'd be at my office at 5 to see clients until 9. I get home by 10. No lies here. No lies detected. 5 days a week. I was working. I wasn't getting paid. So not only am I investing all this time, energy, money, it just felt like it was just taking. But I'm like, okay, be patient. You've got this. A lot of tears, a lot of frustration, a lot of all of that came. So then I got into this building. Oh, shoot, things are picking up. Oh, shoot, I was able to get a therapist, but I really wasn't as ready as I thought I was. I asked my sister, hey, can you come help me? I really need help with billing. I really don't have much to pay you, but I could probably throw something your way. We came up with an agreed number. She came. There were days where my sister's a military wife, so she had to bring the kids. That's not something I wanted, but I didn't have much of a choice, right? There were days where things weren't really getting done, but I really couldn't afford to pay her either. There were times that I couldn't pay her. And she was good. She was like, Sheree, don't worry about paying me. I'm just here to help you. Like, oh my gosh. I cannot explain or express how my gratitude for her and how much she trusted me and how much she looked out for me, because doing this on my own was a hell of an experience. It was a hell of an experience. Staying up late nights, you know, would it have been different if my husband and I were in this as a partners, like if we were running this together? Sure, it would have. But I have to say this too. I know me, and I like the things the way that I like them when I like them to be that way. So I also have to keep in mind my nicks for control in having things the way that I want them, because I don't know that I could ever go into business with one of my friends if they're not going to work like I do. Because when we set a date, for example, let's say we set a let's say we come up with a business. Because actually me and my line sisters talked about doing a business together. And we had all these great, listen, as soon as you say go, as soon as you say this is a thing and I'm like, okay, let's go. But then if I notice I'm investing time into something or energy, I have to stop, because I go to 1,000. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm doing it as we speak. I've probably already planned for it, been planning for it for the last 2 or 3 months. I've done my research. I'm working on it. I wrote my first book in 3 days. I think maybe even less than that, because I was also doing my graphics. So I did all my graphics. The inside of my book was completely and totally designed by me. The outside, as far as the graphic, like the cover and all that was designed by someone else. But all the inside graphics, that was all me. So when we say go, I want to go. Let's go. I don't want to wait, because I know me. If I wait, I'm on to the next project. I'm on to the next thing. I got 1,000 things going on in my life. I cannot wait on people. I don't like waiting on people to do things. I don't like waiting on people. So not only would I encourage you to take those things into perspective of like who this person is, blah, blah, blah. But more importantly, be aware of you and like your working style, your communication style, what you are and are not willing to do in that relationship, because that is what matters. They can be the best, business partner ever, but if you are the way that you are and it is not conducive to that partnership, it's not going to work either. And like I said, I know me. I know me. This works because it works. Like, I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, how I want to do it. Like even down to cleanliness. I'm going to say this. I am a stickler. I have to brace myself when like, for example, I'm very particular about the way I want my office kept and things like that. And when mopping should be done, vacuuming, dusting, plants. I'm very particular, and that's not anybody's fault. That's me, right? There can be disagreements about something that we would consider that simple. How often people should clean, what their offices should look like, what professionalism is, what the dress code is, all of those things. All of those things. They matter because they can spiral into other things. Comes down to power and control. How much are you willing to share? How much are you willing to receive and get from others? That really is about you. It really is about you. When I was in spaces where I worked for other people, like when I worked for some city organizations or private organizations, it was hard for me to follow the rules then. Like I'm a rule follower, but I also have my own personality and I want to do some things that I want to do. I always got in trouble for dress because That's just who I want to do. I want to look like how I feel in the morning. Yeah, like I wrote my resignation letters in crayon and drew pictures and shit. I just want to do what I want to do. So I know that doesn't necessarily lend to one of my friends working with me in business. None of my friends work like I do. They don't work. They have their own way. They've gotten their own success in their ways of doing it, but they don't work like I do. And so that can be a problem for me. And I know that. And I know that. I hope that answered your question. It was that was a really good question. I didn't see that coming, but I loved that question. It was really, really good, because you also have to think about, and I'm going to throw this in as the last thing, is boundaries. You know, one of my really good friends, she interns for me, and she has been such a great support, and she always is. And so one of the things that we differ on is communication, or like boundaries around professionalism sometimes. And so we had to have a really hard talk about something, and I just remember it initially turning into a very personal conversation, but I had to bring it back to, this is not personal, this is just business. However, I understand that when you have those very personal relationships, it's always going to feel personal, even if it's just about business, if that makes sense. It's always going to feel personal, even when it's just about business. So I want you to keep that in mind. Yeah. And like, the way that I kind of handle things is, there is personal, but when we're talking about business, this is business. I will be respectful, I will be professional, I will be thoughtful, I will be considerate, I will be all of those things, but I want to be clear that there are boundaries. We need to separate those. When we're trying to get things done, and this is how I feed my family, that's a very different experience. We are doing that's a whole different conversation. Let's get this done. And then we can go out for lunch and all of that. If you can clearly separate and your friend can separate, great. But I'm telling you, I've seen it be really hard for folks to separate the two, because I didn't even think about this years ago. My cousin called me, and we were good at the time. So this went bad. Okay. This example went real bad. My cousin called me years ago. Hey, Sade, I'm starting this publishing company, publishing children's books. I want you to help me. I think you'd be a great fit. We could do it as partners. Underlining partners. Okay. Partners. All right, cool. Tell me who's doing what, when, why. Cool. I had some responsibilities. I was all over. Hell, at that time, I was working 7 days a week. For when I was living in Louisiana, I was working 7 days a week. All of a sudden, now, again, there were some tasks that I didn't do, that I dropped the ball on some things. Okay, cool. I get a phone call one day. I can't make this shit up. I got a phone call one day. Well, Sade, essentially, I don't think this is going to work. I think we're going to move in a different, I'm going to move in a different direction. You no longer work for the business. Now I said, well, what the hell? Wait a minute. If we're partners, how can you fire me when I wasn't making any money? And for me, although we were partners, I was still looking out for you and doing you a favor. See, that was a hell no. Hell no. My thought process was wrong. We didn't have no contract. We didn't have anything. I was just doing it off the strength. Listen, I have since learned my lesson, because I don't mess with her no more. That experience was the cherry, it was topped. No. You got me one good time. Because my frustration was, well, I had done all of this other work. Yes, I had dropped the ball recently. I was busy, etc. My bad, but you have the power to fire me off a business I thought we were partners of? Yeah, that's a no for me, dog. That's a no for me. Yeah, that's a real no. So I don't mess with you no more. We're done. Done. I don't think we've spoken. No, I know. We don't think we haven't spoken since. I'm not. Yeah, I don't. But it just went really bad. And since then, I've thought about my role. That was her business. I didn't put out any money or invest any money in this business. The way it was communicated to me was that I was a partner, but I wasn't. I was an employee. Does that make sense? I didn't do my job. Absolutely, she had the right to fire me, but not as a partner, as an employee. So the roles and how they're set up, and everyone has to be clear on their role and the powers in which they have, because that can really, really tear a relationship up, like tear it up to pieces. There is no more relationship. For me, I would say I felt 100% violated. 100%. 100%. I'm not even going to say the colorful words that I used then, right? But I 100% felt violated when I dedicated a lot of my time and energy to something I wasn't being paid for, but I also didn't invest any money in. She was paying out money for logos and LLCs and all this other stuff. I didn't get it. I didn't get. I'm like, my time is valuable, which it is, but I didn't understand my role. I really wasn't a partner. I was an employee. That's two different. Hell, I was a volunteer. That's two different things. And it just ruined. I mean, this was my actual cousin. This just ruined our relationship. So just keep that in mind. Like, I hope that answered your question, the long-winded version. Do y'all have any more questions? I hope that was like the long-winded version, but I really love that question. I hadn't thought about that in years. That's the long-winded version of answering your question. Anybody else have any questions? I love this. I love this. Like, it's keeping me on my toes. I feel good about it. I feel real good about it. Like, I like the idea of y'all asking questions and then on the spot. I like that. I really do like it. So thank you for that question, Candace. It was fantastic. Anybody else? Any smoke, any questions, comments, concerns, challenges for anything I've said, any questions that you have just about life in general? I'm here for that. That was that was a good question. I did not see that coming. I love that. Because business is hard. But any other questions? Any other questions? Excuse me. Will you talk about friendships also? Like, until I get the next question, I want to touch on friendships for just a moment, because I don't think I've done anything around friendships. They are some of the most invaluable relationships you will ever have, and they have to be nurtured and cared for and considered and treated accordingly. And I think that, oh God, that's a good listen. Let me pause. The question is, going into business with your spouse. I'm going to say this. If y'all already got issues with, like, when you're in a relationship, marriage, whatever the setup is, if y'all already got issues, a business is not going to fix it. It's going to highlight the issues. It's going to highlight the issues. Don't think for 1 second that if this person, this man, woman, or child, okay, not the child, but I just want to say that, if this person has issues with budgeting, if they have issues with boundaries, if they have ethical issues, making ethical decisions, if they have all of these things before you get in this business and you know that about your spouse and you sign up anyway, that's on you, bruh. That's on you. Now they gonna be who they are. And having a business together isn't gonna fix that. It's going to highlight it. And not only is that now going to impact your business, the way that you make money and feed your family, it impacts your personal life when you get home. Ain't nobody got time for that. There are some spouses that work it because it works. They have a productive relationship before they get into business. Business will make it worse. I've seen it happen. I've just seen it happen. It'll make it worse. You can't expect that they're going to be somebody else just because you decide to get in a business together. They're going to be who they are, and they're going to show you. And if it's not good already, like if if those qualities are not there to run a business productively, they're not just going to magically appear. It does not work that way. It just doesn't. Don't set yourself up for failure. Please don't. Either one of y'all. Because you're going to be mad and resentful. And not only do I got issues with you at home, now I got issues with you at work. And now I don't even have a safe space to go. I got to see you everywhere. Oh, no. Nope. Maybe you could just have, like you said, a supportive spouse. Let that be that on that. You can invest maybe financially. Hey, let's talk about the amount of money we're going to invest in your business. Support you. If you need to come fix some shelves or write some letters or, type some things, maybe I can do that. But outside of that, you got this. You got it. Nah, because that is going to create a space where there is no relief. It's just going to highlight and like multiply it. It's please don't. If y'all good, you good. If y'all good, you good. But be honest with yourselves. Be aware enough to know how you work and to know how your spouse works. Be honest with yourselves. Don't set yourselves up for failure. Don't set yourselves up for failure. My husband would laugh at me right now because I'm intense. I'm an intense individual. I know that that's not necessarily productive in all spaces. I'm intense, right? So it is what it is. Yep. I hope that answered your question. Go in a bit. Ooh, yeah. Yep. Any other questions? I want all the smoke. Any other questions that y'all have? I'm with the smoke today. I love this. Please invite your friends, tag a friend, share. I want to make sure I do this a little more often because I really don't. I know y'all usually come and ask questions on the topic, but I want y'all to come up with the topic. Y'all tell me what you want to talk about. I just really like this format of doing it. It's really fun and exciting for me versus coming on here and just running my mouth. What do y'all think? Any other questions? In the meantime, while y'all are taking time to ask a question, make sure you subscribe to the Mahogany Project, Projek. I'll have some workshops coming up. Whoa, you trying to drop it like it's hot. I'll have some workshops coming up. I'll have, if you haven't got my books, make sure you get my books. So we'll be having some of that come up. And then next week, I'm going to do one of the activities for my book. So make sure you tune in. If you have your copy, bring it. If you don't have your copy, order it. All right. Real quick. Y'all, I got a client. I think so. Hold on. Let me double check. I think I do. I'm 99% sure. I just want to be sure. Like sure. In the meantime, real quick, religion versus spirituality. The way that I kind of define it is spirituality has no attachments, right? Spirituality is individualized. Religion is group thinking. It's a group perspective, a village perspective. Religion is attached to something, whereas spirituality is not. Spirituality is an individual experience. That's for you to connect, right? Individually, whereas religion is more of group thinking, a group perspective. That's just kind of the way that I separate the two. Are there some parallels in perspective on that? Sure. But that's just the way that I like to separate the two. You could absolutely be spiritual and not religious. You could be religious and spiritual, right? So, it depends on the person. And I also would say this: spirituality has a lot more room for what I would say is the unconventional and creative, and you kind of take what you need. Religion is usually tied again to a group perspective or format of some kind, and there seems to be more rules around that, whereas spirituality is more free form. So that's just my short and sweet to it. Tell me what y'all think. I hope that answered your question. I wanted to make it short and sweet because I know a lot could be said. There's a lot to be said on religion versus spirituality, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't long-winded. I got carried away with that first question. I really did. But I wanted to make sure I gave some good examples. That was just the short and sweet of it. Like, there are parallels, obviously, but that's just kind of how I separate the two. Especially when I have someone tell me they're spiritual versus religious, I always also have them explain what that means, what that looks like, because it could also differ from person to person. So, yeah, just to hopefully that was clear enough. Hopefully that wasn't confusing. But I appreciate y'all so much. Please tag a friend, share the broadcast, and I will see y'all next Monday. Thanks.